What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. You guys have a ton of choices out there. I truly do appreciate you making us part of your day each and every day. Here's how you can take part in the show. You can give us a ring at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. And you can hit us on the madworldattractions.com text line at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go on the show. Coming up on the show today, my friends, a Major League Baseball scheduling quandary. What to make of this Arcia versus Harper beef? Are the Braves now on borrowed time today? Who is going to have a longer tenure at their current job beginning now, Beamer or Dabo? We're going to give you a chance at 420 to win $100 to Smith & James Fine Men's Clothing. We've got Panthers culture, J.J. Hardy, joining us at 4:40 p.m., Lawton Swan at 5:20 p.m. Along the way, we've got the top five at 5, and we have you here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. Fantastic to have you with us. Do want to let you guys know, I know, guys, there are miracles all around us, and what I'm about to share with you is no smaller. Today is my 1-year marriage anniversary. Can you believe that? Not only that somebody amazing was willing to marry me, but that after a year of sleeping in bed with me, she's decided to make it to night 366. Okay, like, can you imagine that? Like, there's hope for us all, ladies and gentlemen. There is hope for us all. For if I can do it, everybody can do it. And today is my 1-year wedding anniversary. Angela, I love you so much, sweetheart. Best decision I ever made was going on a date with you. And every single day of my life, I do my best to be worthy of your love. And it is an absolute honor to be your husband. So it's my our 1-year wedding anniversary today. You guys have been so incredibly supportive. All of you who have met Angela, I know you absolutely love her. And if you could have shown me this video clip, this audio clip, when I first moved here, my first day on the air here, which was January 14th, 2019, and you could have shown me this clip, I would have been beaming ear to ear with a smile. You know, they kind of tell me I have a Joker smile to big to begin with. It's kind of huge, massive, right? But it's a special day, man. It's a special day. 1 year ago today, Angela and I tied the knot. So really special day on my part. I can't believe it. You know, and it's like, you know something's good when it's like, you know, you get back to your life after you get married and life doesn't feel different. It just feels better. You know what I mean? It's just, my job is the same. My day-to-day routine is the same, but there's a lot more love in my life. Yeah, baby. Yeah. You know, I get to be a bonus dad. There's just a lot more smiles, a lot more happiness, a lot more purpose in my life right now. All right, guys, let's open today with this. The season for either Florida or South Carolina will effectively end on Saturday. It's going to effectively end for the loser of this game. Okay? Right now, both teams are projected, according to ESPN's Football Power Index, to be 6-6. Now, that's because they've got a 50% loss attached to this game, right? So the winner has a chance to go 7-5. The loser is likely looking at a failure to reach bowl eligibility. The loser is really facing a wheels falling off situation on the season. Should Florida lose, they are favored in precisely one game between now and the end of the season. That is Arkansas. Arkansas 3 weeks from now, and Arkansas will be coming off a bye when they face the Florida Gators. and perhaps playing to save their head coach's job, Sam Pittman. South Carolina is 2-3. A loss to Florida by the Gamecocks would send South Carolina almost certainly on a 4-game tailspin. Why? Well, because after South Carolina, after Florida, the Gamecocks have at Missouri and at Texas A&M, and South Carolina is 2-15 in its last 17 SEC road games to opponents not named Vanderbilt. This is as must-win gets. So why am I leaning Gamecocks in this one? And by the way, if you guys could help me out with this, I'd truly appreciate it, because I've got a network show with CBS Sports Radio. Very excited about that, coming up on Saturday from 5 to 10 p.m. You guys know that the Gamecock-Florida game is on at 3:30. It'll be over around 7 p.m. I will be hosting during that time, and you know as well as I do, if the Gamecocks win, my social media is going to be flooded with people saying, Mark Ryan, what are you ducking? What are you ducking? When are you going to acknowledge the result? I need your help. I'm going to be on the air hosting. I can't acknowledge anything at that time. I will be sure to make a comment before I turn into bed on Saturday night, but I will not be able to comment on the game in real time, for I will be on the air. Okay. However, I do believe that the Gamecocks have a great shot to win this one. All right. You're playing at home. You're coming off of a bye, and both of those things help. Now, you've heard me complain that Florida has its next 3 games are all against opponents on a bye. That should be illegal. Like you got to play 3 straight opponents coming off a bye. You got to be kidding me. Like bye-bye to your chances is what's going on here, right? But it is what it is, and it's not an excuse for not winning this game. It's not an excuse for not winning this game. If you are the Florida Gators, you've got to find a way to come out victorious here, man. And that there's no excuses for that. Okay, there's just not. So look, Florida comes in to this game with a 33rd ranked offense and the 39th ranked defense. South Carolina comes in with a 24th ranked offense, and in terms of Kelly Ford's metrics, the 69th ranked defense. And I look at this game and I look at the numbers, and I kind of go take a quick look at the numbers of this game. And what I find numbers wise is that the Gators should win this game, because the offenses are largely equal and the defenses largely are not. Okay. Florida averages 410 yards a game on offense. South Carolina averages 399. Florida gives up 287 yards a game defensively. That's pretty good in every game except Kentucky. And South Carolina gives up 443 yards a game. So you have 2 very similar offenses, all told. Florida can run the football. South Carolina cannot. Florida's passing game is limited. South Carolina's passing game is not, right? But Florida at least has a semblance of a defense, right? Only giving up 167 passing yards a game to South Carolina over 300. So how do you maximize that? This Florida game is sold out. I'd like to think that my boisterousness for this rivalry, for this game, has contributed in some small way to that game being a sellout in Columbia. There's a lot of Gamecock fans, thousands, who want to put it in my face if the Gamecocks beat the Gators. And I think there's a very, very good chance that they will. I have yet to see Florida even be competitive on the road. It's like Florida really needs like an at Akron, or they need like an at, I don't know, Diesel, an at Coastal Carolina. Florida needs one of those games to learn how to play on the road. Okay. They've had at Utah, weren't ready for that. They've had at Kentucky, weren't ready for that. And now you're playing another decent opponent on the road. I don't know if they're going to be ready for that.
So what you're saying is that SEC programs should travel to a group of 5 teams?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
Interesting.
That's where I'm going.
Interesting, because a lot of people on this show, you included, have lambasted ACC schools for doing the same thing.
Well, I'll tell you, Diesel, I've said, look, you've heard Josh Pate say this. You've heard Jay Crane say this. You've heard of them say it's not smart to do. But I'll tell you, when all you have on the road is Utah and Kentucky and you're getting smoked, you got to have a team that learns how to play. You got to have a team that learns how to play on the road. Florida.
It's almost like you can't leave everything up to analytics.
Yep.
It's almost as if sometimes you have to do things from your balls. Okay? Do what your balls tell you to do. And if your balls say go on the road, get a win, then do it. Don't ask the question, what's in it for us? That's why you're getting blasted on the road, because you don't know how to play on the road.
Little reminder, guys, you can also get your upset picks in today and tomorrow, your upset picks of the week. Just please text us your name, your game, and the point spread. Make sure it's at least a 3-point spread. Michigan J. Todd chiming in with his here in the early going. He says he's going Cal over Utah by 11.5. That's a popular pick. Mark, even if the Chickens beat your Gators, they are still a loser program. Hashtag roll taters. Gamecock fans, are you going to allow this to happen today? I am trying my best to be as objective as possible, okay? If Florida really dominates this game like they did a year ago, it's going to be very hard for me to be quiet. Very, very difficult for me to be quiet. All right? But I think there's a lot of advantages that South Carolina has in this game. They can't do to Florida physically what Kentucky did to Florida. All right? They don't have the horsepower to do that. But I could see a 200-yard receiving day for Xavier Legette. I could see that. I could see Florida turning the ball over on the road, crowd noise getting to them, right? But folks, make no mistake about it, all right? For both teams, the reason why this is massive, right? I get it. These are perhaps a couple of mediocre teams this year. So why do we care so much? Because for the loser, there's really no way to make anything of your season, okay? For the winner, there is. This is just a game you've got to win. The loser is likely the second to last place team in the SEC East. All right, you got Georgia in first. You got Vanderbilt in last. Let me see if I can remember everybody. Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina, and Missouri. What's the order of those teams? Florida beat Tennessee, got smoked by Kentucky. What's the order of those teams? Is Florida ahead of Missouri or behind Missouri? Are they ahead of Tennessee, behind Tennessee? Are they ahead of South Carolina, behind South Carolina? How about the Gamecocks? Right now, the Gamecocks look to be behind Georgia and Tennessee and ahead of Vanderbilt. But where is South Carolina against Florida, against Missouri, against Kentucky? Where are they against those schools, right? All of this is left to be found out. It's another reason why the regular season in college football is just so damn awesome. So damn awesome. And it's because you unwrap one present as to who your team is every single week. Every single week, you get more information. By the end of the season, Gamecocks, you still could be the second best team in the East. Or you could be sixth in the East. There's a big difference there in terms of momentum for the program, right? Huge difference in terms of momentum for the program. Let's see here. Mark, come on. You're giving the SEC East way too much credit for being difficult. Well, Texter, there's 3 top 25 teams in the SEC East. How many divisions in college football have 3 top 25 teams? You tell me. Dwayne M. chimes in. He goes, let's see here, Nevada plus 9.5 over UNLV. That's what he chimes in with. All right, my friends, we will keep the conversation going right here. Florida, South Carolina. Can you send me your scores on a Clemson bye week? Can you send me your scores? Florida, South Carolina. You're listening to the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. And we are the Fan Upstate. So Shane Beamer had an open and honest moment the other day when he was talking about expectations at South Carolina and how does he feel about the current state of the program. Now, to be fair, if you think all we do on this show is bag on the Gamecocks, you're going to think that's what we're doing here. But folks, I had South Carolina 2-3 to start the year in my preseason predictions. There were very clear and obvious wins and losses in the early going. And as a matter of fact, every single result that South Carolina's had right now is something I've picked. Okay? Like I picked South Carolina to lose to North Carolina. I picked South Carolina to beat Furman. Picked them to lose to Georgia. Picked them to beat Mississippi State. Picked them to lose to Tennessee. You want to know what my score was for South Carolina and Florida? 37-17 Gamecocks. And that's what I'm worried it's going to be, that Florida's going to have another road implosion, meltdown, that as a Gator fan, Rattler's going to look, it's going to have the feel of last year's Tennessee home game for the Gamecocks because they're off a bye, because they're at home, because they're a different team at home, and Florida's a different team on the road. But South Carolina, look, they're right where I thought they would be at this point in their season. And Shane Beamer addressed this the other day. Your thoughts on this audio clip from Shane Beamer?
I think the state of the program is fantastic right now. Are we happy with being 2-3? No. Did we expect to be 2-3? No. Am I discouraged, or do I feel like we've had any kind of step back? No. Not to, go back to the last 2 years, but based on the way most of you guys projected us the last two seasons, we, without a doubt, overachieved in 2021 and 2022. And now I think the natural progression that people think in their minds is, okay, they won 7, then they won 8. Now they're just supposed to win 10 or 9, and we still may. Who knows? There's a lot of football left. But I look at just the big picture, Gene, as far as everything, where we were when I got here in December of 2020, what we've done from a culture standpoint, what we've done from a recruiting standpoint since we got here, the success that we've had on the field. And I get it. I mean, ultimately I'm judged season to season, but week to week. And you're judged on wins and losses. And right now in 2023, we're not good enough because we're 2-3. But, I also look at the big picture as far as the progress that we have made since we got here, the football that's still left to be played in this season as well. I see a group of guys that love being around one another in this program, players, coaches, and staff. I see the way they compete out there on the practice field. I see the guys that I see the recruiting progress that we've made, where each year has been better and better from a recruiting standpoint. I see the young freshmen that we're playing right now. I see the kids the young men that are seniors in high school right now that'll be a part of this program next year, as well as the guys that are juniors in high school right now that are really excited about what we're doing. So I couldn't be more fired up, not necessarily fired up about being 2-3, but could not be more fired up about the future. And in my mind, I'm thinking long term. And again, I get it. You don't get like a 6-year rebuilding plan as well. I understand that you're coaching at the highest level and you're expected to win, but I also know how far we've come since December 2020, and that we're just scratching the surface of where we're going to be as a program.
What do you think, Diesel? That comment? I mean, it's fair.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he says, look, are we happy being 2-3? No. Is it where we thought we'd be? No. Do I feel good about the program? Yes, I feel good about the program. The question is, Diesel, when is the step up going to come? Right?
Yeah. He said it there himself. This is the highest level of college football. Results have to matter. I don't think anyone can deny the tremendous steps forward that South Carolina football culture has made since Shane Beamer arrived. That is not in question. That is not in question. You and I both love what he's done for South Carolina football culture since arriving. And that's great. But there are culture builders, and then there are winning coaches. And not always are they the same thing. Scott Satterfield was a culture builder at Louisville, but he couldn't win at Louisville. That's why he's not at Louisville anymore. He also openly flirted with the South Carolina job, which pissed off donors. But he's a guy that had to come in and fix the culture that was broken from the previous regime before him. And Shane Beamer is doing the exact same thing in Columbia. He is fixing the culture that was broken from the Will Muschamp era. But at some point, wins and losses really have to matter. The feel-good story only lasts so long in the fans' minds.
Diesel, let's assume for a minute next year with multiple four-star offensive line recruits, okay, that are going to be ready then, that aren't ready now, and a lot of optimism around Lenora Sellers. Let's say next year that the South Carolina offense isn't worse than it is right now. It averages about 400 yards a game now. It averages about 400 yards a game next year. Okay? So let's say the offense actually isn't worse. The combination of Lenora Sellers' running elements combined with a better offensive line, multiple four-star recruits. Diesel, just knowing what you know about the Gamecocks, okay, let's just take a look at their 2024 schedule. All right, let's take a quick look at this. Dates TBA on a lot of this, and let's just give a synopsis based on what we know now. Okay, I have Old Dominion, Akron, and Wofford as wins. Okay. They're all at Williams-Brice Stadium. I have at Vanderbilt as a win. Okay, so I've got 4 wins that I know you're starting the season with. Here's the rest. Here's the rest of the games. At Clemson, at Alabama, at Kentucky, at Oklahoma, LSU, at home, but it's still LSU.
Yeah.
Ole Miss at home, Missouri at home, Texas A&M at home.
Yeah. Out of those other 8 games, I'd say you probably pick up 3 wins.
Okay.
So then it has you at
7-5.
7-5.
7-5 next year. And I think that's fair. I think you could expect to win 1 of the 4 road games, maybe at Kentucky. You could expect to win 2 of the 4 home games, maybe Ole Miss and maybe Missouri. You get at home. Okay. So you got 7-5 next year. You got what do you have this year? 6-6, 5-7, 7-5 this year. Okay. It begins to be really hard to see how South Carolina actually elevates itself and when this elevation is going to happen. This is year 3. Next year, with this brutal schedule, is year 4, right? And the difference between the Gamecocks and the Gators is the Gators don't have Akron and Wofford. The Gators have Miami and UCF, Big 12 team and ACC team. That's the problem for Florida, is there's no cupcake non-conference schedule attached here. And you begin to see well, when are we really going to be able to see Shane Beamer take the jump? Because the first year where something like 9-3 looks to be possible isn't until year 5, isn't until 2025, right? This is why we say always, always, always enjoy the journey, right? Enjoy the ride, because, next season could be bumpy as well. Shadow of Death Valley chimes in. He says, I worry about crying Shane's tear ducts. He hasn't had the opportunity to really let the waterworks go, like when he beat ECU on a last-second field goal. His eyes must feel like the Sahara right now. Shadow of Death Valley, your care, your concern for Shane Beamer is duly noted and appreciated. Duly noted. Roger Carper says, Willie B might be sold out, but once the Gators go up by 7, the stadium will empty down to a quarter. Florida doesn't blow anybody out, and Florida plays like it wants to be in a bunch of 20-17 games. I don't quite understand the strategy. The Billy Napier offense feels like the Will Muschamp offense to me. Very, very, very run heavy. A lot of the play calls and when they're called don't seem to make a lot of sense, right? If you told me this, if you said, Mark, the score of the Gamecocks Florida game is going to be 30-10, I would say South Carolina won that game. If you tell me the score of the game is 24-23, I would say, ooh, the Gators got a shot. They got a shot, but they don't blow anybody out. They don't blow anybody out. By the way, all time this series, the Gators have 30 wins, 10 losses, and 3 ties. Gamecocks, where's your rent check? We own you. I'm looking for that. I haven't received my rent check from you yet. I'm wondering if that is coming in the mail. Should I expect that sooner than later? It's amazing because a lot of these losses have happened very, very recently. Very, very recently. 2021 loss, 2017 loss, 2014 loss, 2013 loss, 2012 loss, 2011 loss. Before that, it was just absolute domination and ownage of the Gamecocks. This is one of those measuring stick games for the Gators because Florida and Florida fans expect to beat Kentucky and South Carolina every single year. This is just part of the exception, part of the expectation when you are a Florida Gator. Mongo chimes in with a text.
Pongo, Bongo, I can't remember his name.
Mongo, we're contractually obligated to play that every single time you participate in the show, but we love you for it anyway.
That was buffoonery. That was complete and total buffoonery.
There you go. I worry about Shadow's mental health, Mongo says. His obsession with Beamer and the Gamecocks is quite unhealthy. Texter says it will be impossible for their offense to be better while losing Rattler, Wells, Leggett, and Knox. They will take a big step back. You say that, Texter. You say that. There was a year in Florida Gator basketball where they lost Will Leggett, Anthony Roberson, and Matt Walsh. And everyone said, well, we're definitely not going to be better. These guys went to the NBA. Definitely not going to be better. Florida won the national championship the next year. Sometimes you have addition by subtraction, okay? Now, Rattler's a hell of a passer, a hell of a thrower of the football. The best South Carolina's ever had, in my opinion, okay? And I'll say that again. South Carolina, Spencer Rattler is the most skilled quarterback that has ever played at South Carolina, okay? But for me, personally speaking, you don't have an offensive line. You can't run the football. You're going to have a dual threat quarterback next year. I'm just telling you, the offense may not be worse. It may not be worse next year. That's the goal. If I'm Dowell Loggins, that's the goal. We're averaging 400 yards a game this year. We're going to average 400 yards a game next year. Let's see here. Mark, I'm old enough to remember when Chicken fans used to mock notions of culture and family. They had big, bad Will Muschamp, who was going to turn sorry, guys. Who was going to turn them into a football factory while Dabo was a cheerleader. Now they have the biggest cheerleader possible, and he's making TikTok videos.
No, we're not the little brother. We're not. Yeah. Okay.
Texter says they're going to take a big step back because they still don't have a legit D1 running back, and their OL will still be a weakness, and their defense will still be soft up front, and now they also still can't cover the pass. I love that Muschamp clip, Diesel. I absolutely love that Muschamp clip. No, we're not the little brother. No.
Oh.
That's fine, too.
That's the wrong one.
That's
no, it's not okay to play Creed.
No, we're not the little brother. We're not. Okay.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay. So you guys can chime in if you'd like. 71307 on the madworldattractions.com text line is where you guys can get to us on the show. Diesel, my score in the offseason was 37-17 Gamecocks. Florida doesn't perform well on the road. This is on the road. South Carolina's off a bye. South Carolina's been excellent coming off a bye in recent years. I know Florida really wants this one. I don't know that they can get it on the road in that environment. And I'm not feeling great if I'm a Gator fan. Do you have anything to make me feel better?
No, I don't. I don't think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. This could be a lot of field goals. I see a score somewhere in the range of like 17-14. I don't know who's going to win this game. Probably whoever has the ball last. It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up, really. And by the way, shout out to Riley Staten, quarterback of Gaffney, who just followed us on Twitter.
Hey, there you go, Riley. Great to have you, buddy. Great to have you. Texter says, make no mistake, we didn't mock culture and family. We mocked the cultish mentality that Dabo and his New Spring family had. So says Mongo. John G comes in with his upset pick. He says Iowa plus 10 over Wisconsin. That is the pick of one John G. Trevor Etienne back for the Gators. Also getting some offensive line help back. You heard yesterday that Kelly Ford said that he has the Gamecocks as a 58% chance to win. ESPN's Football Power Index says Gamecocks 57.5% to win. So it is almost exactly the same. The breakdown of this game and what is expected is almost exactly the same. Gators have a shot. Bye week really, really helps the South Carolina Gamecocks. Home field advantage really helps the South Carolina Gamecocks. And the loser is going to have a rough year. Okay? Just simply put, if South Carolina loses this game, they go on a 4-game losing streak. By the time you wake up, by the time you look up, the Gamecocks are 2-6. Okay? If Florida loses this game, where are the wins? They'd be 4-3, and this is what they have left. Georgia, Arkansas, at LSU, at Missouri, Florida State. Where are the wins there to end the year? Okay, like if you lose this game. You win this game, you're 5-2. Then you're saying, okay, let's beat Arkansas 6-2 and find a way to win one more. Georgia, at LSU, at Missouri, or Florida State. Can you win one more? That's the fate in front of Florida right now. All right. Coming up next on the show. Who's out of line when it comes to this tiff, this beef in the Braves-Phillies series? That, my friends, is next, and this is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. Great to have you with us, and we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. So this is a scenario, ladies and gentlemen, where I think you know how I'm going to answer. Okay? I think like you guys can predict how I would answer this conundrum. Okay? And it's a fun discussion to have. So let's have it with you guys right now. Bryce Harper yesterday hit not one, but 2 home runs against the Atlanta Braves, right? Not 1, but 2 home runs against the Atlanta Braves. And it really was something to witness. That level of a total and epic beatdown in this game.
The word you're looking for is ass whooping. And the A is capitalized and sort of curved to the right just a little.
And we've got an audio clip of one of these home runs. This is what really busted it open. The Braves got off to a 1-0 lead. Philly tied it. And then this happened in the third.
Stays put, and there's a high fly ball. Deep right field. Harper watches it fly.
By the way, in the YouTube chat, we've got some trench warfare going on between Clemson and South Carolina fans. Shadow of Death Valley says, I own this chat, kneel before Shadow. To which Mongo replies, kneel before D's nuts. So we've got, at least the guys are making friends here in the chat.
I'm going to let everybody else in on a little thing that they wouldn't know about. Those two were going at each other for days on Twitter. And it was like every 30 minutes there was a message back and forth. And I had to message Mongo. I'm like, could you guys please take me out of this conversation? I have not contributed anything whatsoever to this conversation. I got tagged in this, and you two yokels are circle jerking each other, and you won't stop for days. Take me out of it.
Yeah,
please.
It's the absolute worst, Diesel, when people don't have the self-awareness to take you out of their beef.
Well, no,
like you want to see 500 messages going on back and forth.
It's like these two are the Spider-Man meme, just pointing back and forth at each other.
But I will tell you,
you're dumb. No, you're dumb. Well, we're in your head rent free. Well, you're in our. Just shut up, you two.
I will.
Would you get a room? Would you fornicate? Would you get it over with? For God's sakes!
I will tell you this, guys.
Stop.
Shadow and Mongo. Being that I was not tagged in that, I thoroughly enjoyed the 4 days of back and forth. I really, really did. So anyway, here's the beef that's going on with the Braves.
Oh, stop it, Mongo. You're contributing to this. Shadow tags you guys. I'm classy enough. Stop, dude. Stop. I'm gonna have to start treating you like my 3-month-old puppy. Spray you in the face with a squirt bottle. Stop.
That works, by the way. That works well. So you guys might have noticed Bryce Harper hit 2 home runs yesterday. Each time when he was rounding the bases, he was looking right at Braves shortstop Orlando Arcia. Okay? Now, why is that the case? Why was he staring him down? Well, the report was that in the Braves locker room after game 2 that Atlanta came back to win, Orlando Arcia was heard to be saying, ha ha, attaboy Harper, because Harper got doubled off to end the game, right? He got doubled off of first base. Castellanos hit the fly ball to the wall. Michael Harris makes a great catch, heaves the ball back into the infield. Harper can't make it back to first in time. They double him up. All right? So Orlando Arcia is in the Braves locker room and is going, ha, 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 attaboy, Harper, attaboy. And as you might imagine, quoting Michael Jordan from the Last Dance documentary, I took that personally from Bryce Harper, right?
And quoting Prime,
they done messed around and made it what?
Personal.
They done messed around and made it personal. So Harper hit 2 home runs, stared down Orlando Arcia both times, and Orlando Arcia is throwing up his best WTF face because he's like, yo, I said this in the clubhouse. I said this in the locker room. This should not have made it out. Orlando Arcia says, no, Harper wasn't supposed to hear it. That's why we were saying it in the clubhouse. To which you now guys have media members, and there's a question for you that's coming up here. You now have media members coming out and saying, I personally would not run with anything that I heard in the locker room unless it was said to me on record. Okay, unless it was said to me on record. Now, You guys happen to have record of me sharing something Graham Neff, Clemson athletic director, shared with me on the sidelines of the Clemson spring game. And that is that if Clemson doesn't take the next step with the basketball program, they're going to make a change at head men's basketball coach. And I shared that. I shared it publicly. Well, Mark Ryan, you shouldn't have shared that publicly. He shared that with you in confidence. He shared it with me, and I asked him if I could share it. And he said yes. The reality is I didn't have to ask him if I could share it. We were having a conversation. Of course I can share it. Okay? But I was so taken by what he was saying to me, I was just like, okay, out of respect for our relationship, Emma, are you okay with me sharing this? And he said, yeah, let your audience know. So Diesel, where do you come out on this? Because there's media members saying that never should have been leaked. A media member should know. He's just hooting and hollering in the clubhouse, and a media member shared that he heard Orlando Arcia say that.
Well, first of all, Clemson fans would never believe anything you said in that conversation with Graham Neff unless it was recorded, notarized, signed by a witness with multiple video sources corroborating that the original was not doctored.
Yep.
That's the way people are these days. You so badly want not to believe something that you'll go to great lengths to poke holes in something. As far as, what was shared, what wasn't shared, look, I mean, it was the movie Major League where Roger Dorn's wife found out that Roger was cheating on her when a celebration was videoed and put out there on the evening news. So not everything you say is privy. People have this belief, because I said it in this location under these circumstances, it's privy, it's private. People aren't supposed to share it. No, that's never an agreement. It's never been an agreement. So it's a moot argument. If you said it or you didn't say it, it really doesn't matter because they used it as fuel. They used it as motivation, and they kicked the ever-loving bleep out of you.
There was a reporter that heard that. There was a reporter that shared that, okay? And it made its way all the way back to the Philadelphia clubhouse, and Bryce Harper used it as fuel. And there's a lot of people coming at that reporter because he allegedly heard something that wasn't shared with him. And, I'm sorry, guys, but if I hear it, I'm going to say it. And this is perhaps why we might be the black sheep of upstate media. This might be why we're shunned, why we get the stink eye from other media from time to time, because we don't play by their rules. If I'm standing in front of Orlando Arcia's locker and he's chirping to other teammates and I hear him say, ha, 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 attaboy, Harper, I don't give a rat's ass that he's not speaking to me, okay? Nor am I following this bogus rule that I'm not allowed to say it because what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. This
isn't Vegas.
If you allow me in the locker room, Diesel, and I hear you say that, and I think fans would get a rise out of hearing me say that, I'm going to share that.
Well, do you remember the advice that the father in God, I'm blanking on the name of the movie now. The movie where they went to Vegas and the friend got lost.
Hangover.
He says, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except herpes, because that will come home with you. It's like there's no signage on the doors that says everything that happens in this room is privy unless there's written permission. These guys are savvy ball players, and they're smart enough to know that.
Guys, I guarantee you that I would share that if I heard it. Okay? And I'm sorry, I'm not following the stupid rules. Okay? Whatever the rules are. Oh, it was said in the locker room. Well, then don't have us in the locker room. Okay? I'm more interested in what is being said not to me than I am interested in what is said directly to me. Okay? I'm more interested in that. So, I don't blame the reporter for sharing that at all. These reporters holier than thou. Mark, you should not have shared what Graham Neff said with you.
Well, those are the reporters that have 3,000 Twitter followers. Meanwhile, the reporters that share the interesting things, they have 30, 40,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's guys, it's what it is. So where do you guys come out on that? Should that have been left in the clubhouse? If you heard Orlando Arcia saying, "Attaboy, Harper," mocking him just to his Braves teammates and to the media, should that have been shared? Should that not? I would have shared it. I 100% would have shared that. And you guys can think that's inappropriate, then don't have me in the locker room.
If people have a problem with a reporter sharing it because it's like, oh, you're fueling the fire, you're picking a fight. You're already in a fight. This is a season-ending elimination series. This is a fight.
Right. And what a season-ending series it was. Texter says, Mark, let's see here. Talk about rent-free. Just listen to all these Clemmers. Those must be Clemson fans. Clemmers? First time I've heard that expression. Commenting on your Gamecocks versus Gamecocks discussion. Gamecocks versus Gators discussion. Shannon, how do you feel about that? I'd feel great if I'm a Gamecock heading into that game. I really would. Sending this again since I forgot to add my name. Happy anniversary, Mark. Oh, thanks, buddy. I truly appreciate that. He says, I'm also fortunate to have a great woman in my life. Give me Memphis plus 4.5 over Tulane. See, Diesel, there's one other person getting 0 points this week besides you and me. One other person.
Hey, my anniversary is this weekend too, but I don't talk about
it. There you go. Dexter says, Braves fans just need a bad guy after taking the L, so this reporter is an easy target. It's an easy target. Guys, if the Braves lose tonight, you'll always have 40-70. You know, you'll always have that. Harper screwed up. Braves won. Arcia celebrated that screw up. Harper used it as fuel. Sounds like baseball to me. It's exactly right. Like, what's the beef here? What's the problem? You know, like, if I'm not an unwritten rule guy, okay? If you don't write it down, I'm not following it. Period. If you want me to follow it, give me the rule book. Otherwise, I'm going to do whatever I think works. You know, I was in a heated argument with somebody that works in our profession this year, and a heated debate. And I told that person, I will do whatever it takes to be successful in this job. Okay? Look at me like Nick Saban. I might not like some of the things that college football is doing, but am I going to let those things beat me and not take part? The fast break offense, the transfer portal? No. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful. Period. End of story. Thanks for playing. All right. How about this for a problem for Major League Baseball? It is massive, and it is next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. What's good, everybody? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ron, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Truly do appreciate you making time for us on this great afternoon. The text line is buzzing as well. Got an interesting topic here for you on the Atlanta Braves and what's going on there in Major League Baseball. Let's see here. Texter says, trying to get on the board in the upset pick contest. So says Fred Sims. Give me Auburn getting 11 against LSU. You notice what's happening here, Diesel? There's like 3, 4, or 5 games that like everyone coalesces around every single week. And Auburn is one of them. Why is that the case? Is the feeling that Auburn is getting better now? Texter says, Mark, congrats on your 1 year. Is it a marriage anniversary, wedding anniversary? 1 year anniversary. My wife and I have our 29th anniversary tomorrow. Wow. That's from Mark L.O. Ducks. Mark, thank you so much. I appreciate and value your name very much. Now, your name is Mark with a K. Unfortunately, Marks with a K have 36 more testosterone, 36% more testosterone than Marks with a C. So you are much more of a man than I am, Mark L.O. Ducks. But congratulations. Can I ask you, and can I ask you guys, what are your tips for a long marriage, for a long, successful marriage? My parents are coming up on 50 next year. 50 years. And Angela and I were snuggling on the couch last night, and we said, hey, we're one down. We got 49 to go. You know, how do you feel? We're one down out of 50. This is unbelievable. It's a great feeling. You know, and you guys might say, well, Mark, just remember she's always right, and I get that. There's a lot of jokes.
No, she's not. No, she's not. Women are wrong all the time.
You're damn right.
Not all the time, but I mean, I'm just
Diesel.
saying they're wrong often.
Well, I want to let you know this, Diesel.
Men are wrong often more.
You're right. That is also true. But why is it that whenever I see something crazy happening on the road, 9 times out of 10, there's a Sheila behind the wheel? How come? 9 times out of 10. Like, what's going on there? And it's like, it's weird because do you ever, when you're ever saying things like words you can't say on the radio about a driver under your breath, does that driver have a gender? You son of a, you know what I mean? Like Angela, I've learned about Angela that she always thinks it's a dude. She's like, when she's saying something under her breath and I'm riding with her, she always thinks it's a dude. And then we pull up to the car and 9 times out of 10, it's a Sheila. What's going on, Sheilas? Can we please drive a little bit better? All right. But no, in all seriousness, guys, I value your God's honest best advice on how to have a long marriage. Okay. I was reading some stat recently, Diesel, where it said most marriages fail or really hit the skids between year 1 and year 2 and between year 5 and year 8. So like 3 years, that's a long time. That's a long ass time to like not have any problems, right? Like, of course, things can hit the skids between year 5 and year 8, but year 1 and year 2, it's just like, man, I'm entering that right now. Like what's going to happen between year 1 and year 2 that causes the problem, right? So what do you guys think? What is your best marital advice for us? Texter says, every profession has unwritten rules. Sometimes they're good. The problem with baseball is that so many of their unwritten rules are stupid. Estupido. So says Dougie. Texter E. Thoughty says, I'm taking Hawaii over San Diego State -5.5. E. Thoughty, what place did you finish last year in the upset challenge? Texter says, the secret to a long marriage is swinging. You need some new kitty every now and then. It takes lots of communication to work. No, I don't think that's what the marriage counselors would say, Texter. I don't think that's what they would say.
And how many wives did you have to go through before you found the one who was okay with swinging?
Just like Lou, he's on number 2, right?
We laugh every time that commercial comes up. Every time.
Yep. Texter says, I've been married 20 years. You have to find cool stuff that you like to do together. You have to keep your love life exciting and never go to bed mad. Yeah, that's easier said than done sometimes. And I don't think Angela and I ever go to bed mad, but I do think there's nights where it's like, we disagree about this, or you have a different opinion about that, right? I mean, I do think that's a little bit normal, but you always try to close it with a kiss, right? Seal it with a kiss. Let's see, man. After year 2 or year 3, the honeymoon stage is over. Just got to work through the hard times, still going strong. Very, very good advice, Texter. Very, very good advice. E. Thoughty claims that he finished first last year. E. Thoughty, I believe you emailed me. And I will reach out to you, buddy. Okay? I'm going to reach out to you. So I am going to screenshot this right now, and I've got it, and I will reach out to you, sir. Okay? I will reach out to you. By the way, coming up in the next segment of the show, guys, you're going to have a chance to win. You're going to have a chance to win a $100 gift card to Smith & James Fine Men's Clothing. Now, let me make this clear, okay? You are eligible to win if you have not won previously, okay? So if you have not won previously, you are eligible to win. And as soon as we go to commercial break, that is when you are allowed to call, okay? So we won't take calls on that right now, but when we go to commercial break is when you're allowed to call to try to win the $100 Smith & James gift card giveaway. And what you will be asked, Clemson and or South Carolina trivia. Okay? There you go. Mark, I'm in the car with my 11-year-old daughter, and she's now asking me what swinging is. Thanks. Oh, that's, sir, are you serious? You can't figure out how to get out of that one? You point to the nearest swing set and you say, that's what it is, sweetheart. That's what it is. Swinging is an easy one to get through.
But now that you've said it on the air, she knows he's lying.
That also might be true. I didn't know that was my fault, sir. I didn't know that was my fault.
That's your fault for letting a child listen to the show.
Yeah, perhaps. Let me see here. It wasn't the same guy. I thought it might have been the same guy that sent the swinging thing. Let's see here. Madcraft has taken Georgia Southern +6 over JMU. Got to make it about us and not about me for a marriage to work. So says a texter. Texter says, Mark, years 1 through 5 are the honeymoon years. 6 to 10 are harder. 11 to 15, things get easier. 16 to 20 years are great. Kids are grown. 20 to 25, we are empty nesters, and I am naked in the hallways. I could have gone without that, texter. Could have gone without that. Years 1 to 5, 6 to 10 are harder. Interesting. Very interesting to know.
That puts a new spin on the phrase hot dog down a hallway.
20 years of marriage here. My number one rule, keep other people and their thoughts and opinions out of their marriage. Keep any issues you may have private. More than 2 voices in a marriage is too many. Texter says, quit assuming the swinging text was from a man. Did that come from the person who sent it?
Ooh, it's a lady.
It is. It's a lady. The lady sent the swinging
Nice.
text. That's really interesting, Diesel. That is really interesting. Nothing kills a marriage faster than porn addiction. I'd agree with that. That's probably pretty accurate. Okay, guys. Saw you at Ingles while getting flowers for my 32nd wedding anniversary. Disagreements are okay, but never argue or fuss. It's worked for 32 years. Very, very good, texter. All right, Diesel. So the Braves tonight have an elimination game against the Philadelphia Phillies. They are a 59% chance to win. It is Spencer Strider, Clemson's own Spencer Strider, towing the bup against Ranger Suarez for the Philadelphia Phillies. This is a pitching edge for Atlanta. I continue to believe that this is Philadelphia's last chance to win the series. I think if it goes back to Atlanta, you're looking at about an 80% Atlanta win probability in this one. And I'm fascinated, guys, by what baseball is going to do about this scheduling kerfuffle that is going on right now with how this postseason is slated. Do you know that the 4 best teams in baseball, okay, now that last night we had 2 more teams eliminated. The Twins and the Dodgers were eliminated last night.
And Twins.
Do you know that the 4 best teams in baseball, okay, of the 4 best teams in baseball, only 2 are still left alive? The Orioles were eliminated. The Dodgers were eliminated. And in the divisional series round, the teams that had a rest, the 4 best teams in baseball, have put up a record of 4 wins and 9 losses. Now you're like, okay, Mark, well, bleep happens. Well, it does. But it happened last year. And it's almost like a sport that you play every single day. You need to keep playing every single day. You know, when somebody says, oh, he's sharp, they're sharp. What does that mean? Right? Like you're on it, right? You're in the zone. You're seeing the ball well. All of those phrases, right? It means that to the degree that you have to be precise to be a successful major leaguer. Folks have often said the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball, right? You've got to be precise. And when you are off of your game by 3, 4, 5 days, haven't played in 5 days, you're not going to come back precise. You know, how are you first day back in the office after 5 days off, after 6 days off? You know what I feel like every single time? It's like, dear God, do I still remember how to do this?
I've literally forgotten what button to press to do something that I do every single day. Like I remembered how to open the software, but I was like, after that, total blank. What do I do? I can't find the button. And sometimes it goes on longer than you think. I'm like, am I losing it? Has my brain just quit on me? And then you realize, oh, there it is.
There it is. And so Diesel, MLB needs to have a there it is moment because they've got an issue on their hands. You know, if I say to you guys, if Philly wins tonight, and I say to you guys, did the better team win? What are you going to tell me? Some of you guys are going to tell me, yeah, Mark, Philadelphia won. They won fair and square. And I would say to you, well, what does science say? Science says the greater the sample size, the more accurate the result, right? So Atlanta was the better team over 162 games. Philadelphia was the better team over 4. What is that telling us? Who's really the better team? Is it your job in sports to crown the best team, or is it not? Right? I can't dispute if Philly wins tonight that they were the better team in this series. But the why here is a problem for Major League Baseball. Rust is beating rest. You guys understand that? Like rust is kicking rest's ass right now. It's not helping these teams to be off. It's helping them to play. The other factor that most people aren't considering is this. Teams like the Dodgers and the Braves, right, have not played meaningful baseball in a very long time. Whereas like the Phillies and the Astros, etc., were fighting for their playoff lives, right? So they're suddenly having to flip a switch after 5 days off. They haven't played meaningful baseball in 2 months against teams that have been living on the edge, right? These teams have been living on the edge for the last 3 months. Of course they're ready to go. Of course they don't need time to flip the switch or get back into it. But how do you fix this if you're Major League Baseball? And do you think this is something that needs fixing? Diesel, an easy fix would be, instead of having 6 playoff teams per league, you have 8. I don't like it. Too many playoff teams, right? They don't want to take away playoff teams. When you had 4 playoff teams, it meant something to make the playoffs, right? 4 playoff teams, 8 total playoff teams per league, per the sport, 4 in each league. You had each team playing in each round.
Yeah, but this always goes the direction of expansion. No sport is contracting the size of their offseason. Nobody.
They just expanded.
Maybe the FCS should, because it's gotten ridiculous. I think 32 teams make it in the FCS now, or maybe it's 48. I mean, it's ridiculous how many teams make the FCS playoffs. But if there's money involved, they're always going to expand.
Let's see here. Buck Thomas on Twitter says, I wonder if Snitker has found an analytic that says analytics are useless in the postseason. Maybe like the one that says you have to pitch to Harper with a base open. Yeah, good call, Buck. Then he says the fact that Snitker has allowed Harper to be the one to beat them in back-to-back years is a prime example of coaching losing games. A prime example of that. So what is the fix here, guys, to baseball's scheduling problem? Is there a fix? Because clearly giving the 1 and 2 seeds a bye is not a present, it's a punishment.
Trey on YouTube says that swinger woman's name is Jada Pinkett. Madcraft says, you see where it was reported that Jada said she and Will have been separated for years? So Will slapped Chris Rock for literally no reason at all. Yeah. And then Mongo says, another way to keep your wife happy, you have to be able to find the button. Yep, that's true.
Press her buttons. People think that's a very, very bad thing to do, but sometimes, sometimes the buttons need to be pressed. Sometimes they need to be pressed.
That's not the button he's talking about.
No, is that not what it is? 844 fan phone. That's 844 FANFONE.
He's talking about the other button.
The other button. 844-326-3663.
You're like, let's stop talking about this. There's kids in the car.
Moving along now. 11-year-olds are listening. Please. Okay, guys. Are you ready? Orange, you glad you're listening right now? Because when this show returns, each and every one of you out there is going to have a chance to win the $100 $100 Smith & James gift card giveaway. Got too many gift cards going on here. We've got a contest going on for Smith & James. You're going to have a chance to win a $100 gift card. Believe me, you want this. You're going to look great in your Smith & James gear. You need to call us right now at 844-326-3663 to get yourself in queue. You're eligible if you haven't already won. That's next. We'll ask you Clemson and South Carolina trivia here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate. All right, it's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We see you guys lighting up the phone lines. We appreciate that very, very much. Who wants to win a $100 gift card to Smith & James Fine Men's Clothing? How sweet a prize is this? You know, you guys said to me for a long time, Mark, it would be great if we could get some like prizes up in here. You know, then we got the most badass prize that we've ever had. $100 gift card to give away every single week. And we open it up to you guys. All you have to do is give us a call at 844-326-3663. Be early, be often. Make sure that you give yourself the best shot, okay? And because this caller is, well, here we go. Let's bring it on right now. Ashton from Spartanburg leads us off today. Ashton, are you feeling lucky, my friend?
I hope so.
Okay, I hope so too. I appreciate you having the guts to call us up, okay? You are first up in the queue today, Ashton. Could you use now, what side of the rivalry are you on, Ashton? Who's your favorite team? Carolina. Could you use a really spiffy-looking Carolina polo?
I could.
There you go.
For sure.
There you go. Okay, so here is the question for you, Ashton. How many consecutive wins is the longest stretch of wins for either side of the rivalry in the history of the Palmetto Bowl? Okay, so if you look at the Palmetto Bowl and the history of that game, the longest stretch of wins for either side is how many wins?
I want to say
These would be consecutive wins in a row. Okay, so what is the longest win streak that one team has had?
I want to say, well, 7's the first number that popped in my head. 7 or 8.
Which one is it, Ashton?
I'm gonna go with 7.
Ashton, you won. Congratulations, buddy. Congratulations. And now if you're sitting here listening to this, you're kicking yourself that you didn't call in, aren't you? Ashton, hang on the line, my friend. Diesel's going to tell you what you need to do to pick up your prize. And thank you so much for participating. The longest stretch of wins in Palmetto Bowl history, and it's been done twice. You guys know it, Gamecock fans, because you had that number thrown in your face year after ever bleeping year. It's been 7 consecutive wins, and Clemson has done that stretch 2 different times. Clemson did it from 1934 to 1940, and Clemson did it from 2014 to 2021. Okay? That is the longest stretch. That's not an easy question, and Ashton nailed it. In other words, my main man Ashton says, this has been so painful to me. Of course, I remember how long the suffering has been. 1934 to 1940, 2014 to 2021. Remember, 2020, there was no game because of the pandemic. That's how simple it is. I was saying to Diesel during the break, I'm like, man, what happens if some of these callers get it wrong and then I'm out of questions to ask? You know, like what happens if I just run out of questions to ask because no one's getting it right? What do we do there? And Diesel and I are like, I don't know. Let's see here. We check on the madworldattractions.com text line. Texter says, carpool mom, absolutely go to bed angry. Life is so much better after a good night's rest. Sincerely, carpool mom, married 25 years. So carpool mom, you're saying it's okay to go to bed angry? Do you sleep well when you're going to bed angry? Is that okay? Good to hear from you, carpool mom. We appreciate you so much. Mark L.O. Duck says the bank is going to be rocking in Philly tonight. Go Phils. Grease up the light poles. So says Mark L.O. Ducks. Mark L.O. Ducks, do you get the sense that you're the only person rooting for that team in this area tonight? Any other Philadelphia Phillies fans out there tonight? You know, if you think about it, Philadelphia Phillies really is a dumb name, isn't it? You just use the name of your city twice? Like, how does that make any sense? You used it twice. Can we not be more creative? That would be like calling a Greenville baseball team the Greenville Green Villains. What? We just said it twice. Why did we possibly do that? I don't understand. Do you? What do you guys think? I mean, what is the solution to this conundrum for Major League Baseball, where the 4 best teams get a bye and then they rest for 5 days, and they never rest for 5 days during the regular season? They play an everyday game. They play it every day. You rest for 5 days. They come out. They're not sharp. The 4 best teams in Major League Baseball are now 4-9 in this AL Division Series round. And the Astros have 3 of those 4 wins. So what do you do about it? What do you do about it? Like, you got to solve this, right? Because you don't want it to be a disadvantage to get a bye. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen. That's the worst thing that could happen in the world. All right. Congratulations, Ashton. You have kicked serious ace today. And we congratulate you on the dub, man. And thanks for having the guts, the cojones to call in. Coming up next on the show, do we get the sense that Bryce Young is really Frank Reich's guy? If he had total control, would he have selected Bryce Young? That, my friends, is next with our guy, Panthers Culture. And it's coming your way next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. Panthers culture is an incredibly popular social media account and site on your Carolina Panthers. The owner, operator of that is JJ Hardy. He joins us each and every Thursday. Always great to catch up with you, JJ. Outside of the team, man, life treating you good?
Life treating me great, man. Outside of the team, life is treating me great.
I'm glad to hear that, buddy. Glad to hear that. So we've got, I want to reset, and I'm sure you've heard this by now, the comments from, we have some, interesting takes on Frank Reich, but I want to open today, JJ, with this. Do you get the sense, with complete authority, would Frank Reich have selected Bryce Young, given all that you know? Or maybe there's just no way for you to answer that question. Because what they told us was that they were private about the process. And then at the end, they all came into a room and they kind of revealed their cards. And they all had Bryce Young on the card. And we're supposed to believe that they never talked about it before that moment. You've made the point that Bryce Young is a departure from what Frank Reich normally has. With that being said, JJ, do you get the sense if he was the GM and the coach, is Bryce Young the Panthers quarterback?
I'm kind of torn right now because there's just so much swirling around about, who made the pick and all that. I do believe that the pick was heavily influenced by the owner. I do believe that, we have so much history with Frank Reich and the type of quarterback that he's had in the past. He's always had a 6'4" quarterback across his 20-something years of coaching. And we all know that Bryce Young isn't 6'4". And so Bryce has a lot of redeeming characteristics of why I know that a guy like Frank Reich would choose him. I'm just not sure that it's his natural fit for a quarterback. And I think some of the frustration we see is based on him being a little mismatched from what Frank Reich is accustomed to having back at the quarterback position. Not saying it can't work out, not saying that Frank can't come around to coaching his type or his style, but it's going to challenge Frank Reich and it's going to challenge Bryce Young a little bit, just to get on the same page with what works for him at his size with some of his limitations. And so I don't know. I don't want to get too much into who did what and who chose what. I have my feelings about it. I have some internal people who talked to me before the draft. And let's just say their process for establishing who was the best quarterback had a lot more to do with what they perceived him to be processing-wise and the metrics and the testing. It had a heavy influence on them making the selection of Bryce Young.
So, JJ, I want to ask you, I want you to put on your prediction pants here. Who ultimately has a longer tenure in Carolina, Frank Reich or Bryce Young?
Bryce Young. Bryce Young, 100%.
Wow, that's interesting, and that is a very, very strong vote of confidence. Now, I want to bring you in, and I'm sure you've heard these comments, JJ, as JJ Hardy from Panthers Culture joins us here on Offsides. Mark, Ron, and Diesel, the fan upstate. The comments from Frank Reich about working with Dave Tepper. And I want to play these comments, JJ, with the background being that this team made the playoffs 4 times in 5 years before Dave Tepper took over. They've made it not a single time in 7 years since he's been the owner. I do not believe in coincidences. I think there's a reason for everything that happens. And when you listen to Frank Reich's description, JJ, I feel bad for him. We'll play the audio. We'll get your thoughts.
There's different philosophies in ownership. You know what I mean? Some owners kind of stay away and don't engage a whole lot. Other owners do. And his philosophy is he's going to engage. And listen, it's only been a short experience, but it's been a really good experience. It hasn't been fun. It's not fun. Those meetings aren't, I wouldn't characterize them as fun meetings. But those meetings make me better, and I trust they make us better.
When you hear that, does it sound like the Carolina Panthers have a Jerry Jones style of meddling owner?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's been too many instances across the years since Dave Tepper took over where you could just feel his influence. And it goes back to, honestly, when he fired Ron Rivera, after only 2 years, not even a full 2 years of seeing what he could do. He didn't have any patience with him after Cam Newton got hurt. Didn't give him an opportunity to work that out, get a new quarterback, build something different. He just made a rash decision, moved on. The next thing that he did was keep the GM, let that GM go with him to pick Matt Rule. A reason for picking Matt Rule was because he really wanted Josh McDaniels based on all accounts, but Josh McDaniels wanted to go to Cleveland. And when he felt that he wouldn't get Josh McDaniels, he went and made a knee-jerk move to fly down to Waco, which everybody knows, to hire Matt Rule on the spot. So Matt Rule wouldn't take the New York Giants job the next day. And so from there, there were rumors about him wanting to make a big swing the next season, for quarterback. First, he went for Matt Stafford, wanted to throw the house at Detroit to get Matt Stafford in the trade. When Matt Stafford declined to come to Carolina, he turned his attention to Deshaun Watson. And, we know what happened with the Deshaun Watson ordeal. At first, it seemed like it could be a good play. But then when the negative news came out about Deshaun, I think the worst part about that, and a lot of people didn't know this, was that although Carolina kind of quieted down, they still were pursuing Deshaun Watson in the background. And I know that for a fact. And when the opportunity arose again later in 2021, they let their passion be known for Deshaun Watson, and to carry it on until 2022. And so you have all these things that Dave Tepper has done across the years of influencing who the coaching staff should pursue to play quarterback. And he has missed on a lot of opportunities. And so, when they picked this quarterback, I do believe he heavily influenced who they picked. And now that they're losing, you hear Frank Wright and how he expressed, how the conversations have gone. I think it's kind of messed up, when you're a head coach, you're coming from a situation where, your last owner was Jim Irsay. And, you started out bad in 2022, 3-5-1. Irsay gets frustrated. He fires you. Now you come back to North Carolina with your family and you're sitting around, and then all of a sudden there's a vacancy right down the street in Charlotte. And Dave Tepper comes knocking, saying, hey, would you be interested? I want an offensive-minded head coach. I want a coach with NFL experience. I want a coach who can work with quarterbacks. And then hire you, let you build your staff. But when it comes time to pick the quarterback who you think you can be most successful with, maybe take that opportunity from you, right? And so now you're trying to coach a type of player that you may not have chosen if you had the freedom to choose, and it's not working out offensively. And so now you have to go and face that guy every week after a loss, after the offense looks putrid, and let him advise you on how to make things better. So that is kind of frustrating. That would be frustrating for me if I was a head coach.
So
I'm not taking. Go ahead.
JJ, obviously you don't become a billionaire by accident. It takes a smart person to achieve what he's achieved from a business standpoint. What is your impression of David Tepper's ability to recognize that his hands-on approach isn't successful? Do you believe, his policy will be to get more involved, or will it be to take a step back and let the football people take over?
Well, based on everything that he's shown us, it appears that he's going to continue to be heavily involved. And that's unfortunate for us as fans. It's unfortunate for the team. Because of his story, how he made his money, that came from a lot of self-belief and, thinking that he's the smartest guy in the room. And I was always told, if you are the smartest guy in any room, then you need to find a new room. And I don't think Dave Tepper has ever been in that situation, or he hasn't been in that situation in a long time. So that's our challenge with Dave Tepper is, can he humble himself enough to say, you know what, I've tried this for 5 years now. and I have 5 consecutive losing seasons. Maybe I need to step back and hire the right type of people around me operationally to make sure that things are going the way that a successful NFL franchise, should be running. And until he does that, I think we're going to continue to struggle. So based on his history, I would say no. I don't think he'll step back, and I believe that that's truly unfortunate for us. But I am prayerful. I'm hopeful that he will come around. I wouldn't bet my paycheck that he is.
JJ Hardy joining us. JJ, why is this team seemingly so much further away than what we thought or what they were at the end of last season?
I think it's a couple of different reasons. I would start with, we were bad last year, right? We started out last season 1-5, I believe it was, and then we fired Matt Rule. Steve Wilkes came on board. We go out to LA, or LA come to Charlotte. I think they came to Charlotte. And we dropped that game. So now we 1-6. But what happened immediately after that changes the course of last season. Robbie Anderson has an episode on the sideline with an assistant coach. The next day, he's out of here. He gets traded. Later that week, Christian McCaffrey gets traded. And I think it was a wake-up call for that locker room and for some of the young leaders and stars on the team to see, like, you know what? It's a different era now. Steve Wilkes is a different guy. He's going to hold people accountable. He's going to make tough decisions. And if we're not doing, what we need to do, we're going to get shipped out of here. We're going to get cut next year or whatever. So I think we start seeing players respond to the accountability that Steve Wilkes instilled. Steve Wilkes was here for the winning seasons. When we went to the Super Bowl, he was the defensive assistant, defensive coordinator, for our last winning season in 2017. And so Steve Wilkes knows what winning in Carolina feels like, and he has pride in that. And I think he showed a lot of these young players for the first time what that takes, what it takes to be a winner. A lot of these guys on this team, if you look across the roster, a lot of them were drafted by Matt Rule's regime, and all they know is losing. And in football, losing is infectious. It's contagious. And Steve Wilkes refuted that. He was like, I'm not a loser. You're not losers. Let me show you how to win. We're going to do things simple. We're going to run the football. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to push guys at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to play tough defense. And he showed them that that's a winning formula. It's not pretty. It's not cute, but it's effective. And the players responded. And I think moving off of that type of energy and Dave Tepper going out to hire Frank Wright, who I like Frank Wright. Frank Wright is not a high energy guy though, right? And so the players showed last year they respond to high energy. Frank Wright, he would tell you himself, he's not a high energy guy. He's not a big rah-rah guy. I think he's a very knowledgeable guy, very experienced, but he's not big on energy. And I think right now we need some juice. The quarterback that they drafted, he's not a big energy guy, right? Carolina is Cam Newton. Carolina is big, big personality, big energy. We don't have it at the head coaching position. We don't have it at the quarterback position. So when things start going bad, who do people look to rally around? Who do they look to rally them? And right now, I think the locker room, until Bryce Young kind of stepped into that role, I think we're pretty leaderless. I mean, Shaq Thompson is hurt. He was a defensive leader. He's hurt. And nobody's really stepping up. So I think that's what we're missing is that juice that we had last year. And I think that's why we have fallen as far as we have fallen off, because I think we have some misalignment from the top down. And I think we lack that leader to really step into it. And not questioning Frank Wright's leadership. I just think that these tough times require somebody to rally the troops. And I don't know if he's giving them that thing and that energy to really rally around. And I hope that they figure that out.
JJ, what do you believe the mood among the players is? Are they getting chippy with each other with their frustration, or do you believe that they're galvanized? Because Frank Reich says things all the time in his press conferences like, oh, it's all about belief, and we were close to getting a win. I would certainly argue that they haven't been close to getting wins, even in the quote unquote close games. They haven't looked like a competitive football team. So how do you think the players are dealing with each other right now?
Well, I would imagine when it gets to this time of the season, and it's not over yet, but like historically it's over. No team has ever been 0-5 and made the playoffs ever. So, you got a lot of guys that's on short deals. You got guys who are coming up on contract years like Derek Brown. You got one that's currently trying to fight for his deal and Brian Burns. And other guys that's younger like J.C. Horn that know eventually it'll be my time. And so, and then you got the veterans who they brought in who might be on short-term deals, like one-year deals like DJ Chark. And a lot of these guys thought that they could come here. They drank the Kool-Aid. It was going to be a great year. Bryce Young was going to be a great young quarterback. A guy like DJ Chark was going to fight for his respect in the league as one of the top wide receivers who might get a bigger contract if he have a good year in Carolina. Thielen trying to reestablish himself. So now these guys may be looking around like, okay, what do I do to help myself out if I'm not here next year, right? If Carolina doesn't give me the contract that I want, if I become some trade piece for them to accrue picks, because we're a very bad team without first-round picks in 2024. So what do I do to take care of myself? Maybe we can't win, but maybe I can go out there and put some good film on, on tape, so I can be evaluated, for the next team. And so I'm not saying that they're not pulling together and rallying around each other, but, my last statement was that I don't know who the leader is in that locker room for them to rally around. Every time you see the reporters in the locker room, it's cats in the background playing ping pong. And so I don't mind people playing ping pong, but when we 0-5, that kind of gets annoying. And so, I need somebody to take things seriously. And I don't know if they are or coming together to do that.
There you go. His name is J.J. Hardy. Follow him, and his great brand on Twitter at Panthers Culture is where you can get to him. JJ, great to catch up with you, man. Maybe, just maybe, there will be a new Carolina Panther on the roster the next time we convene. That would be great, man. Thanks so much for all you do for us.
No, thank you. And thank you for bearing with my shortness of breath. I was running from a kid's football game to get here and speak with you. But I got myself together. I'm out of shape. But, it's always a pleasure. Hoping that we can, shock the world and get a win on Sunday. Not very optimistic about it. But hey, at least after that, we can't lose the week after because we're going to be on bye.
Hey, I don't know. The bye week, the line is on that is out. The bye week's favored by 11. JJ, this is not good. This is not good news.
That's horrible, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna be 0-18. But no, no, I'm serious. No, like for the fans listening, I'm as optimistic as they come. But right now, it's time to be real, and we're not in a good space right now. We got a good staff, and hopefully we can pull it together. And hopefully we play our best ball on Sunday. Even if it's not a win, I just want to be competitive, and that's what I'm looking for.
There you go.
Thank you again, Mark, for having me. Let me get back to the football game, man.
You got it, buddy. You got it. JJ Hardy, Panthers Culture. We've got the top 5 at 5 coming your way next, right here on Offsides. What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Thank you for making us part of your afternoon, which you guys do each and every day. We've got Lawton Swan joining us at 5:20 on Clemson. We've got Truth Serum coming your way at 5:40 p.m. this afternoon. And we've got you rocking and rolling. Big congratulations to Ashton from Spartanburg. We got some folks complaining about the difficulty of the question. Where were you calling in? Shadow of Death Valley says, bro, come on. This is painfully easy. The answer is 7. Yeah, like the $100 gift card could have been yours. But you guys just judged the questions without calling in yourself.
I'm going to let you in on a little inside secret here. We want to give the prize away. That's the point. The point is to give the prize away. If you make the questions too hard, nobody can get them right, which is kind of what I did when I filled in 2 weeks ago. When I hosted the show, I made the questions too hard, and we were going through caller after caller after caller, and nobody knew the answer. So we want to give the prize away.
Most certainly the case. All right, guys. Also, it is my 1-year marriage anniversary today. How about that? I convinced somebody to marry me. She is amazing. And for some reason, maybe because I'm just lucky as can be, she's still with me a year later. I don't know how I pulled that off. It's incredible. No, seriously, all kidding aside, guys, I am the luckiest dude in the world. Angela, I love you to death, sweetheart. And best decision I made was
swiping right.
Yes, swiping right. But also, Diesel, coming to the Carolinas, first to meet her and second for this job. You know, those are the two best things in that order that have happened to me since coming to South Carolina. Let me ask you guys this question. What are your keys to a long and healthy marriage? If you were to give me some good, tried and true marital advice, what would you tell me? Let me know on the madworldattractions.com text line. That's 71307 is the number to text to. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go on the show. What is your best marital advice for me? I'm 46 years old. I've been married exactly 1 year. We're 1 down. We're 49 to go to get to 50, baby. That's right. That's right. So happy anniversary to my beautiful wife, and thank you guys for the very, very, very nice words about that. All right, you guys ready to rock it out? We call this segment the Top 5 at 5. The top 5 biggest sports stories of the day, the top 5 topics we're discussing. Ladies and gentlemen of the Upstate, Offsiders, the Top 5 at 5 starts right now.
And now, the Top 5 at 5.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hit it.
5.
So the beef between Orlando Arcia and Bryce Harper, if you don't know what it is, here's what happened. When the Braves won Game 2 against the Phillies, Orlando Arcia was heard in the Braves locker room saying, "Attaboy, Harper," because Bryce Harper was doubled up at first base to end Game 2. You might remember Castellanos, long drive to the wall. Michael Harris Jr. makes a great catch. Bryce Harper's doubled up. And so there's a big debate today about like what proper media etiquette is, right? Like if a player says something in the locker room and it isn't said to you, are you allowed to come out with it? I think you guys know me well enough by now, right? I don't follow these stinking rules. If I hear it in the locker room, I'm going to share that I heard it. You know, your policy of what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room, doesn't apply to me. And if you're going to apply it to me, don't allow me in the locker room. That's all I have to say about that. So to the reporter who came out with, yeah, Orlando Arcia was saying, "Attaboy, Harper," I don't blame him at all. I would have done the exact same thing. How do you guys feel about that? You know, because Harper then hit 2 home runs last night. This poor reporter is getting blamed now for the Braves getting their asses handed to them, 10-2 last night, and being on the brink of elimination today. And I think it's a bunch of bunk.
That's called looking for a scapegoat. That's called your team wasn't ready. The other team was so much better than you last night, and you're looking for anything to blame.
That's what it is. So where do you guys come out at?
You realize like 4, 5, 6 homers were hit by Philadelphia in that game?
6.
6 home runs. Do you really think, attaboy Harper juiced the entire team up so much that they are now just infinitely better at seeing the ball, putting the bat on the ball, lifting it just far enough to get over the wall? Do you really think attaboy Harper did all of that? No. It's because the team was just better than you last night, and blowouts happen in baseball. It just happens.
You guys might remember I had a conversation with Clemson Athletic Director Graham Neff on the sideline of the orange and white game, spring game for Clemson. And he told me, he said, Mark, if we don't take the next step, we'll make a change at head men's basketball coach. And I came out with that. And when I did, a lot of you guys said, that doesn't sound like a conversation you were supposed to share, Mark. Well, we had the conversation. So I am sharing it. Okay? He told me I could share it. And I didn't have to get permission. But I did, and he said share it. So I don't follow these rules. Like if you say something in a locker room setting and I hear you, I'm going to share what I've heard. How do you guys come out on that? Is the reporter responsible for firing Bryce Harper up? Next up.
4.
At number 4, potential trades involving the Carolina Panthers are surfacing. Jerry Jeudy's name has been mentioned on the Denver Broncos, as has Jameson Williams of the Detroit Lions. Williams was the former first-round pick, Bryce Young's favorite target out of Alabama. He's had a torn ACL. He's been suspended for betting. His career has been a mess thus far between injuries and poor decisions. Jerry Jeudy, let's be honest, like these guys have otherworldly ability, but they haven't put it all together yet. The big question to me is, what will it cost? I'm more likely to give you players than I am draft picks because Carolina doesn't have any draft capital to give, right? They need to hoard all the draft capital they can get. I would opt for Jerry Jeudy first before I'd opt for Jameson Williams. And I think Carolina would be better overnight if they could make that happen. Next up.
3.
At number 3, Florida against South Carolina coming your way on Saturday night, my friends. All time, the Gators are 30-10-3 against the Gamecocks. My take on this one is the loser is inevitably going to have a down year. Okay? It's all on the line.
Is this the pillow fight of the week in the SEC?
Oh, Diesel, you're hurting me. You're hurting me now. Maybe this cut Steve. This cut Steve. Guys, it's the reality of this one is it's interesting because the loser likely falls off a cliff. Florida has 1 game remaining all year where they're the favorites. Okay? South Carolina with a loss stares 4 straight losses in the face because they have at Missouri and at Texas A&M after this. The spread of the game is South Carolina minus 2 points. In the offseason, I picked South Carolina to be 2-3 right now. They are 2-3 right now. What was my score for this game? Gamecocks 37, Florida 17. I had this being a beatdown. Why? Because South Carolina is playing at home, because the Gamecocks are coming off a bye, and because Florida is a very Jekyll and Hyde team who is a halfway decent team on the at home and god-awful on the road. And so I put all those together. I lean South Carolina in this game. I just want you guys to realize how important this game is. The winner might end up being the second-place team in the SEC East. The loser might end up being 6th, right? All is on the line in this particular game. What is your score, by the way? Do you have a score? Do you have a hunch? Do you have a lean? Do you have a feel for Florida against South Carolina? Shane Beamer said earlier this week that they're not where they want to be at 2-3, but he feels great overall about the direction of the program. Next up.
2.
We will be carrying Miami versus North Carolina right here on the Fan Upstate on Saturday night, beginning at 7 p.m. I'll be hosting on CBS Sports Radio from 5 to 10 p.m., so you can hear me on the Fan Upstate from 5 to 7 before we make way for our Miami, North Carolina coverage. And I was asked today, Mark, what do you think about Miami, North Carolina? I think North Carolina big is what I think. Number 1, it's in Chapel Hill. Number 2, I worry that Miami, from a mentality standpoint, is about to lose to Georgia Tech twice. Okay? Number 3, Drake May is really clicking right now. You know, like North Carolina wasn't a great team when the year began, but I feel like they're becoming a great team before our eyes. You know, we thought that 30-14 Clemson beatdown of Syracuse was high quality. Then North Carolina hangs 40-7 on them, right? North Carolina just might be the best team in the ACC. ESPN's Football Power Index says Florida State is the 10th best team in the country. They say North Carolina is the 16th best team in the country. Clemson is 18th and Miami is 19th. But what say you about that? Miami, North Carolina. I think North Carolina comfortably by double digits. And finally,
1.
You know, folks, it wasn't supposed to be this way. You know, I do believe to some degree leagues have a responsibility to have a postseason system that gives the best team a chance to win. Do you want your sport to crown the best team? Well, science will tell you that the larger the sample size, the more accurate the result. So I ask you guys, who's a better team, the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks? You might tell me the Diamondbacks, they just won the series, and I would say they were the best team in 3 games. Who was the best team in 162? Oh, that's right. The Dodgers were by 16 games. Who's the better team? Braves and Phillies. In this series, it might be the Phillies, but in the regular season, it was the Braves by 14 games. What is going on here? Well, the teams that got the buys, the 4 best teams in the major leagues, are 4-9. Their rust is counting for more than the rest that they got. They lost their sharpness. It has become a buy of hell, you know, for these teams. It has become a disadvantage, not an advantage. And if you're baseball, how do you solve this?
Well, Mark, it also sounds a little bit like you're trying to stack the deck. And if that's the case, then why don't we just reduce it to 4 teams make the playoff? You know, the 4 best records in baseball. Why don't we do it that way?
It used to be that way.
Well, yeah, that's fine, but we're not going to be able to go back to that. Look, I mean, yeah, there is, I'm sure, some element of rest is bad for you in a game like baseball. But I would argue, are you really the better team if you don't win the series? Are you really the better team if you lose, if you get upset by a group of 5 or an FCS team? Were you really a better team? You know, you hear all the time football players like, yeah, we didn't take them seriously. We got high the night before. We partied the night before. Well, that means you're not a good football team because you're not disciplined. You might have more talent, but it takes more than just talent to win the game. It takes talent. It takes discipline. It takes opportunity and some small measure of luck. And so I say, are you really the better team if you lose? No, you're not. Not on that. Not on those nights. You weren't.
And I think Diesel, the problem is that baseball is such a random sport that it lends itself to this, right? In football, I'm not going to use that excuse. But in baseball, a sport where the worst team wins 40% of the time, the best team wins 60% of the time, there's a level of randomization there where if you're not sharp, you don't really have a shot, you know? And so I don't know. I mean, I look at this and you tell me the 4 best teams in baseball are 4-9. I'm saying, well, it would be one thing if the deck was stacked equally for every team, but the rest is obviously hurting these teams at this point. So what do you do about it? What do you do about it? And those are today's top 5 at 5. Now it's your chance to chime in, which you can do at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. The MadWorldAttractions.com text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go. You can get to us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. We'd love to have you. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And finally, email. You guys can all email the show. Mark Ryan, that is M-A-R-C Ryan, at thefanupstate.com. All the different ways you can get in touch with us here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. Texter says the Phillies have one of the dumbest names in the major leagues. Agree with that. Thomas Hell says upset pick Wyoming over Air Force. Trey says, I'm very thankful that last week's question was easy. If you asked me a Clemson question, I might have gotten it wrong. Best marital advice for a long, loving marriage with incredible spiritual connection? Butt stuff.
Wait, is this a guy or is this a lady texting in?
No idea. 2 words. Butt stuff. If you're going to have a fight, fight nude. It won't last long. Married 24 years. Sport Doc. Thank you, sir. Mongo says South Carolina 28, Florida 17. Texter says add or remove a team to get rid of the wild cards. That requires more explanation. Texter, please give us more explanation. Add or remove a team to get rid of wild cards. I may be biased because the O's and Braves are my 2 favorite teams. Okay. Add or remove a team. Diesel, when you say stack the deck, what does that mean? You're stacking the deck.
You're trying to manipulate the results because you're trying to manipulate the final outcome because you don't like the results.
I'm good with the results. I don't have a team.
No. You just spent the entirety of, I think, number 2 on the top 5 at 5 saying, I don't like how these playoffs have gone. The best teams are getting eliminated. So we need to change something so that these best teams are not being eliminated. That is called stacking the deck. That is trying to achieve an outcome by changing the rules. That is stacking the deck.
Well, Diesel, they're changing the rules left and right surrounding us. Anyway.
Yeah, but everybody's playing with these rules. Okay. It's not like they didn't know.
But the worst teams are playing with no rest, and the best teams are playing with significant rest.
Right. But the Atlanta Braves, as the texters told us yesterday, they put together the best lineup they could play against, and they played baseball in the days leading up to. And you can say, well, it's not meaningful baseball. Well, you can't quantify meaningful practice versus non-meaningful practice. I'm just saying, it's like everybody already knows the rules before the game starts. Okay. It's not like they're surprising people at the last minute and saying, oh, we're changing things on you. Everybody knows the rules. So you can't change the rules because you don't like the outcome.
Yeah. Well, I'm here to tell you,
I
don't have a team I don't have a dog in the fight. But I'm seeing a lot of fans upset about, the better teams just getting the floors wiped with them when that didn't happen during the season. So, is it a problem? Do you side with Diesel and you say, no, there's no problem here? Or do you say, well, yeah, there's data here that's showing that the rest, what should be a reward for the best team, is not actually playing out that way. Mike Kendrick tweets in. He says, we've heard about time off, locker room sanctuary, loud noises from fans. How about stop the wanting and show up? This happens in every other sport. October is the time to be playing your best ball. Seems too much to ask of certain teams. Cry me a river. Cry me a river.
If you were really the better team, you would have won the game.
Texter says, Braves gonna Braves, and everybody knows that. We've got Lawton Swan joining us next, right here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate.
Not very lively today on the YouTube stream. Those of you who are here, though, we appreciate it. Of course, Madcraft, Mongo, Shadow of Death Valley, you two can go back to throwing objects at each other. Trey, we appreciate you being here. B. Johns, he's a new guy. I don't think I've ever seen B. Johns in here. Dylan, scrolling back, there was Hardscapes Mechanic. All of you, thank you so much for being here. Share this with a friend. Tell somebody tomorrow that they need to be here to chop it up in the YouTube comment section. That would be immensely helpful. You could also go, if you haven't already, go to the Fan Upstate on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and that would be so huge and instrumental in helping us grow. We're on our way to 500 subscribers. Another 500 more, we get to monetize this thing and start making money off of it.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.